one of the guys who we have talked about a lot this trade deadline so far has been Luis Robert Jr. It came out that the White Sox want to get better than the Juan Soto trade from the Nationals to the Padres. That Juan Soto trade. They want to get a better package than what the Nationals got back for Juan Soto, Joe. Which, let me just break down the package for you really quick. So, the Padres got Juan Soto. They also got Josh Bell, who was hitting really well for the Nationals that year, first baseman. The Nationals sent shortstop C.J. Abrams. I'm sorry, the Nationals got shortstop C.J. Abrams, who is now their starting shortstop. Left-handed pitcher Mackenzie Gore, who was one of the top left-handed pitching prospects in all of baseball. First baseman Luke Voit, just to replace Josh Bell. They got the Padres' number 1 prospect in Robert Hassell III. He was an outfielder. He was the number 21 prospect in all of baseball. They got outfielder James Woods, the Padres' number 3 prospect, and the number 88 prospect in all of baseball. And right-handed pitcher Jarlin Susana, who I don't know who that is, but he was the Padres' number 14 prospect in that deal. That would be a hell of a haul for a player who is objectively worse than Juan Soto, Joe.
Yeah, like that's 3 top 10 guys in your system. Like James Wood has elevated his game, is now the number 1 prospect in the national system, ahead of like recent draftee Dylan Cruz. Like they've got a big 3 potentially in Washington with Abrams, Gore, and Wood just from one trade. You're not going to get that for a guy that's never put up a top 10 MVP season in Luis Robert Jr. You're just not going to. Like, sure, you can compare certain things about Robert and Soto's game. Of course. There's always going to be comparison, which is the thief of joy. Anybody that's trying to compare Robert to Juan Soto is not going to be happy if they want to get more from that trade package. Because Soto was and is still a top 3 hitter in the entire game. Ohtani, Alvarez, Soto, Judge. Like top 4, right? Robert doesn't touch them. Doesn't even sniff that room, in my opinion. Yes, he's got electrifying talent. He can be a top 10 player. He just has never put it all together for a full 162, albeit because of injuries or whatever. His best season was last year, on 145 games?
I believe it was 150.
Okay, regardless. But it was a top 12 MVP finish. He's going to move out into a corner, depending on where he goes. They got a premier center fielder already, like the Mariners do. He's going to go play right field or left field. So his value, does it diminish there? A little bit, but like not a ton. The White Sox are off their rocker if they think they're getting anything close to it. Like, we're not going to give up Cole Young. Like, what would that even look like? Cole Young?
It'd be probably Young, Laz. How would you say it was top? It was 3 of their top. I mean,
and maybe like Michael Morales. Like, is that how you
Gore
value
and
it?
Abrams weren't even on their prospect list according to this.
That's just not true. Unless they were up, like they were already like major league ready kind of a vibe. That's probably where that happened, or like why they're not listed as like prospects. But like Abrams and Gore were highly touted as top prospects in the Padres system before getting over in that trade. So it's like the Mariners just don't even have anything that's really like comparable to that as far as like value, given like the circumstances.
In 2020, Mackenzie Gore and C.J. Abrams were the number 1 and number 2 prospect.
Yeah.
In the Padres system, they came up that year. So then they fell off the prospect rankings. But basically, if you look at it like that, you are trading, what is that? All 5 of those guys you would have in your top 35. We'll call it top 35 because they probably hadn't had that many at bats or innings pitched since then. Mm-hmm. So 5 guys in your top 35, and 4 of which would have been in your top 10.
Yeah, it's just not reasonable.
Yeah, and also in the Soto deal, they also traded Josh Bell, a guy who was also hitting the cover off the ball in 2021. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm sorry, 2022. It doesn't make any sense to me that the White Sox, a team who is trading a guy who, like we said earlier, is objectively worse, has a terrible injury history, strikes out a hell of a lot more. It just makes no sense that they think that they can get as much for Robert or more than the Nationals got for Soto, because that was a hell of a deal. They might not even be able to get more than what the Padres got for Soto in the Yankees trade.
My only thing that I think what this could be attributed to is them trying to set the market themselves and try and like set themselves up to maybe get a bidder, maybe not as high. People will see that and laugh, but maybe kind of see what is out there for them as far as trades are concerned, because realistically, Robert's not finishing this year in a White Sox uniform.
No.
I would be supremely surprised if that's the case. So it's like maybe they're just kind of putting that vibe out there of like, who wants Luis Robert? We're looking for this, like, this or best offer kind of a thing. Like, I don't know. I just can't see anything close to the Juan Soto deal. Maybe half of it, because I think that's what you're going to get in Luis Robert compared to Juan Soto. You're going to probably get maybe not half the player. That's a bit harsh, but like, dude, no way am I trading 3 top 10 guys for Luis Robert. No, not close. You could trade 2 top 10s and like maybe like an MLB ready guy that is like was a top 10, fell out of it. But even then, it's like we're starting to push the boundary of like what we're really acquiring in Luis Robert. And is that going to be that impactful this year? The club option, sure, they're available to you. For a team like the Mariners, does it make sense?
$20 million a piece.
Yeah, like, does it really make that all that much sense? If I'm being real, with how the conversation has happened over the last couple of days, like, I would have been excited about the Mariners acquiring Luis Robert for the right price. That right price doesn't exist, it seems like. So I would have to assume the Mariners are probably out at this point.
I know we've talked about it a lot, Joe, but what is the right price for you for Luis Robert? Give me actual names. Just craft a trade package on the spot.
Tangible names from the Mariners. I would give them one of the top 3 in Young, Ford, or Emerson, because I know that's what they're going to start with. You probably have to go. I just don't know where they're at, because they've gotten so much pitching in the last couple of trades that they've pulled off. So, like, do they want, like, Emerson Hancock? I don't know. I doubt it. Maybe they want someone further away. Like, maybe you finish this out with, like, a Walter Ford. You go...
Martinez or something.
Shut up. I'll go Colt Emerson. And we'll go... I'd be fine with trading Jonathan Clase. Don't need him. Like, Colt Emerson, Jonathan Clase, maybe... Man... Colt Emerson, Michael Arroyo, Jonathan Clase, and then Walter Ford. That's 4 top 20s.
White Sox say no.
Probably, but that's what I'd pay.
Yeah.
Like, we don't necessarily need Arroyo. You don't fully need Emerson, although it'll suck because he'll be your consensus 1 by the end of the year. But he's going to be further away than Young or Ford. They don't need catching. They've got, like, Edgar Cuero in their system? They got from the Angels. He's a catcher. They don't need a catcher. They don't need Harry Ford. So it's like, you probably go Colt Emerson. Yeah, they say no, probably, but it's like, that's what I'd pay. And that's still like, I'm still like, whoa, that's kind of a lot.
I mean, in that deal, the only one of those guys that you mentioned that I'm even like really all that upset with losing would be Colt Emerson.
Yeah, and like, sure, am I dancing around the bigger name guys? Like, could I substitute Johnny Farmelo in for Jonathan Clase? Sure. Am I happy about it? No. Do the White Sox say yes at that point? I'm not sure.
Probably not. You'd probably have to substitute one more guy. And again, like you said, maybe they don't want pitching unless they want to have Hancock because he's major league ready. Maybe, or even maybe, I mean, at that point, you probably have to substitute Logan Evans for Hancock. And so then you go like Emerson, Farmelo, Evans, and then like, who else did you say?
I said Walter Ford, but also like Jonathan Clase was a name I threw in there. Michael Arroyo was a name I threw in there. So it's like,
so maybe they take Clase just to put in the major leagues immediately, just to fill Luis Robert's spot. Yeah. It's trades like that is what the White Sox should be looking for. But if they wanted the trade that the Nationals got, you'd be giving up basically Emerson and Harry Ford and probably Laz Montez. Like all three of those guys would probably have to go in that trade. And I'm not even like, I hang up the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hang up the phone immediately if those questions are asked. So